London Lamar of Memphis proposes a bill to ban Glock switches and create harsher penalties for suspects caught with them. Explain how dangerous those Glock switches really are, and what do you think about this bill, if you've read it at all?
Absolutely, and I think there are a lot of efforts that are being made by our state legislators as it relates to gun violence, you know, not just in our city but across the state. It's a concern for citizens, it's a concern for public safety to our officers, because anytime you modify a weapon so that that firepower is more rapid, more intense, it really changes the dynamic of what we do in public safety, and it also victimizes other people. So, you know, even though they call it a Glock switch, these devices can be made for just about any type of semi-automatic weapon. But what it does is it causes that weapon to shoot faster and more rapidly and shoot more rounds than an average, you know, handgun would.
And try not to get too political, but are there other firearm regulations that you would like to see put into place?
Well, extended magazines, screening processes are really important, you know, and of course some laws were already in place when I arrived in Memphis, but Memphis is a unique kind of community. And the more prevalence of weapons in our community can be devastating. And so any weapon that has some type of alteration to it, the same with extended magazines, is similar to a Glock switch device. An extended magazine just adds more rounds to a handgun, which sort of converts it to sort of like a machine gun as well. So it's very concerning, not just for my agency, other agencies. Myself and other chiefs have talked about how, you know, how much of a challenge it is when our officers are on the street and they're faced with 3, 4 individuals that have weapons that have been converted to some other type of high power, you know, ammunition.
As a young reporter, I used to say, I've written scripts, they're on a routine call, and police officers, when I run into them, their no call is routine. They never know what they're going to come across. So especially when, and I could imagine that some of those calls are difficult to process, especially when it involves children. Oh, yeah. So how does the department help officers handle those cases? Is there special training? And what about support for those officers as well?
Oh, yeah. We have a very, very strong peer support program. And we're actually expanding our wellness program for our officers too, so that there is adequate post-traumatic stress types of treatment and alternatives for our officers. We've changed our policies as it relates to wellness days. If an officer experiences something very traumatic, you know, he has an opportunity to take wellness days. And if they respond to a call where children are victims, sometimes those types of calls are very difficult to deal with. But we do train our officers when they go on normal, routine type calls to be on the lookout for other things that might indicate that a child might be neglected, that a child might be abused. We send our officers through adequate training, crimes against children training, so that they can recognize these things and they can be the help source, you know, in a time when there may not be anybody else that's actually paying attention to what's going on in the home.
In June of this year, you will have been with MPD for 4 years. Can you believe it's been that long?
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. The city's first woman top cop in the city of Memphis. What's one of the biggest changes you've seen that you took on as in this role as chief?
Well, you know, I think really helping to build a resilient police department, helping to build a department that has career development, that has a leadership team, that understands planning and strategic planning. And we started working on strategic planning as a team, you know, and getting the input even from our officers from time to time on what are some of the best practices for our department, how do we serve our community best, and how we measure that too. So some of the success that we saw last year is a direct result of some of the work and the resiliency of our officers and our leadership team that implemented a strategic plan that we customized, and it worked for us. And we continue to calibrate it, we continue to work on it so that we can have those same good numbers this year.
Right. Is there anything you'd still like to see changed?
I would like to see our interstates more regulated. I'd love to see vehicles in our city more regulated. Tags. It brings about a serious problem for our city. It's sort of unique to Memphis. Sometimes you see every other vehicle, every third vehicle with a counterfeit tag.
Right.
Penalties to me don't help correct the problem, and it exacerbates things when it comes to accidents and stolen vehicles. So those are some things that I would like to see, and I'd like to be able to see more law enforcement coordination, even with our Tennessee Highway Patrol. Glad to see them here in Memphis. We're building a strong relationship, but we still have work to do. I also want to see us grow our ranks in the Memphis Police Department. We continue to hire, and I'm going to use this as a point of privilege to say that we are hiring the brightest and the best, and we look forward to increasing our numbers this year.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you so much for coming in today and joining us on A Better Memphis.
Thank you.